don't remember. All this fucking time.
Travis Miller, previously known under the name Lil Ugly Mane, is one of the most overlooked yet constantly creative producers right now, rooted in hip-hop primarily, but shown by his many mixtapes over the years that he's taken influence from so many other genres, from rock to industrial, to noise, to country, to metal even. Now under a new name, Bedwetter, Travis Miller is out to present some new albums, possibly in volumes, this one being called Volume 1, Flick Your Tongue Against Your Teeth and Describe the Present. And actually when you listen to it, the lyrical content is far from a happy time. It's important to keep in mind that Miller isn't exactly treating this as an album as much as it is sort of a sonic document of his life at this very moment. A quote taken from a very detailed post about what fueled this album on his Facebook page. As such, the trains of thought here are very real. They're far from any sort of caricature. It's a statement on mental health and depression. And as such, it's kind of hard for me to kind of look at this album from kind of an objectively critical kind of point of view, kind of commenting on things like cohesion or flow or things like that, because, you know, obviously I can comment on those things when it comes to these albums, but I kind of felt the same way about this Bedwetter album as I did with something like Mount Eerie or Sufjan Stevens' Carrion Lol. Everything behind this record is very real. What I'm going to judge about the album is just how these thoughts are able to be presented in musical form. And when it comes to this Bedwetter album, I was actually impressed by many of the ways in which Travis Miller decided to present his experiences and his, you know, his very vivid thoughts on mental health. It's an album that uses repetition and reverb to its very clever advantage. The repetition of many lines or possibly hooks on this Bedwetter album brings to mind someone trailing over the same thought in their mind, kind of going in circles mentally. It becomes a little anxious too.
All these fucking years I just don't remember. All this fucking time I just don't remember. Did I lose my mind? I just don't remember. Did I die in my line? I just don't remember.
And the reverb, or rather the cloudiness or the spaciness of the tracks here, makes you feel like you're listening deep into the narrator's internal struggle, like you're right inside their mind, and thus it makes it all the more uncomfortable when they deliver a dossier about trauma, anxiety, a flood of stomach-churningly visceral thoughts with very visceral, fierce delivery. And then, scattered throughout the album are some instrumental ambient tracks too, which are always unsettling to listen to despite how soothing they may sound initially, because they actually follow some really heavy, harrowing rap tracks that are so upfront about the subject matter of mental health. So being followed up by an ambient track kind of helps to build on the mood that the previous tracks established. It is a rather short album, this one, and to be honest, personally, if, you know, I had to be the person that kind of went, oh, I wish he did this, I wish he did that, on a album that is meant to be a sonic document about Travis's personal, you know, venting, his personal anxiety, his personal experience with mental illness, then, you know, maybe I might have enjoyed hearing some more rapping from Travis Miller here, because with such a short time frame, a notable amount of it is filled with those ambient tracks. However, this Bedwetter album is fantastic, especially in its message. But when I come out of this album, I'm not just thinking about mental health, I'm also thinking about, you know, Travis Miller himself. Just kind of me thinking, I hope he's okay. I mean, if I had to put some kind of rating on this album, then it would be a 7 out of 10. But, you know, don't stress too much about my ratings. What really matters is just what I said. And, you know, when it comes to this album, the message is probably more important than any rating that I'd ever give it.